What is up, RotoGrinders? We're back on a Thursday morning five-game MLB DFS slate. Wonder, what's with that face? What's going on? Are you just checking to see if I'm actually watching the video?
Well, sometimes you don't. So I got to, I'm here. Look, I'm here. How you doing? And you always look because of the way that your camera's framed it. Like, I'm a normal-sized person, and you're like a little Humpty Dumpty down there.
I don't know what it is. I think you just, like, jump right in the camera. Is this the way? How far away is your face from your camera?
You could tilt it down or go into your camera settings so it frames you better.
I mean, I don't know. It's I feel like your face is like this far away from your camera, and mine's
it's about maybe
at least
1.5 or so. Yeah,
I'm not really sure. These are the things we could have worked out for each show.
Look normal. You look like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. They just went.
I assure you that is not how we look in real life. Yeah, our pre-show conversation. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I get thrown off every single time when I say anything that sounds similar to. I'm going to say the word again, SIRI. I feel like I'm talking to like a child in the room, like I'm saying a curse word. But my laptop tends to really gravitate and start talking to me, and it really throws me off in my ear. I'm usually throwing
the Rays aren't on this slate. You shouldn't have that much of a problem.
Yeah, I don't know what I said. I think I said surely, and that was enough for my laptop to lose its mind and all of a sudden start screaming in my ear. But hey, we have a 5-game MLB DFS slate. I think it's a good one, Blender. The most dominant or the best offense right now currently on the board as far as team total. It is the Diamondbacks taking on the Nationals. Diamondbacks on the road, locked in for 9 guaranteed innings against probably the worst pitcher on the slate, Jake Irvin. Also, Irvin's a righty. The entire bullpen is right-handed as well. So, your pinch hit risk in Arizona, probably minimal, at least for the lefties. It should be minimal. Just kind of worth noting there. Marcelo Ozuna, batting in the 5-hole. Somebody mentioned that in chat, and I'm like, is there something goofy or is there something different? Well, no Murphy in that lineup today. It is Travis d'Arnaud, but they bumped back, and they did this several games ago with Matt Olson. Matt Olson sitting in the 5 spot now. And I think, is that the reason why we're actually on? Because there was going to be a crunch time show for sure. There's still going to be a crunch time show. It takes you guys straight up to lock. Was that the reason why that extra game, the 5th game on this slate? I don't know if this game was scheduled or not. The game was canceled last night. Or maybe they're just going to make that up at some other time. This is probably the getaway day. But, we weren't sure if we're coming on here, Blender, but we are. We're giving the people a full hour and a half all the way up the lock. We're going to yield to, I believe it is TastefulTides Tim, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth, and I want to say it's SquirrelPatrol as well. Shout out to Squirrel, by the way. Yesterday he took down 50K. He took down 50K while he was on air, or like he did it right before he went on air. Didn't mention it once. Me, if I made 50K, I would just leave the show. I would walk off. I'd say that's it. It's all yours.
Squirrel Patrol, that's like his 247th time.
No, he doesn't
at
care.
some point, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Okay,
it's diminishing value of returns. Is that what that? Yeah,
right.
He's said it so many times, but yeah, congratulations to him. He's back. He did not quit. He did not retire. To the best of my knowledge, he'll be back later on in less than an hour. Blender 5-gamer today. Screenshot, we have Blake Snell, who's always an interesting talking point. He's broken 2 slates back-to-back. He's reverse broken them as well, too, a time or two when he just gets completely blown up and walks 17 people. But 12 Ks in back-to-back games facing a Giants team in a good ballpark that is not patient and strikes out a fair bit. No official lineup on that just yet. That game is, 345 or 330 or so. I'm not sure if we're going to get those lineups before lock. Let's see. 3:45 is that time. That's the only 2 lineups we're waiting for, correct? Yeah, we have 8 of the 10. No Padres, no Giants just yet. Again, probably not going to get those. And that's sort of an island game on the slate if you're thinking of it in terms of like a doubleheader. The first 4 games all start within the first 5 minutes of the slate, and then we have Padres, Giants all by itself. Give me the screenshot. What are you looking at? What's popping for you?
Well, I mean, I don't consider this. I mean, okay, so this slate is interesting in the sense that I think there's a very condensed pool of pitchers that I'd be playing. Like I'm playing 5 lineups, so just to be clear. So like I'm not building 150 or whatever. I'm just playing 5. There's not many pitchers. There's it looks like 3 main pitchers, maybe 4. I don't think salary is going to break. The salary thing is not going to be a problem on this slate. You're now that the slate is even shorter than it was yesterday with the 7-gamer, 5-gamer, I wouldn't be thrown off by building lineups that left 4,000 on the table. Like what is going to end up happening is like Fernando Tatis, Byron Buxton, like the Kyle Schwarber, even like guys like that are going to be a little bit more owned because you kind of have the salary to spend. There's enough cheap pieces and everything in here. But the thing is that I've been running lineups in Lineup HQ with the bat projections.
Okay.
Like the differences between most of the teams on the slate from a median projection standpoint is not that dramatic. So like I ran this. I'm going to run it again. But I ran this like a half an hour ago, so I'm not sure if there's any changes. But from a stack perspective, like we'll get into the pitchers in a second, but I think the pitchers are the easy part of this slate. The hitting is not. So like the top projected stack, which is a 5-man stack.
Can I guess?
You want to go? We're playing the stack game early.
Let's play the game. Why not? We
Okay,
got the time.
I think this slate is more about stacks than it is about pitchers. So what I would put one team in tier 1 and then put like it seems like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 teams in tier 2. And tier 1 and tier 2 aren't all that far apart from each other, but it's noticeable enough that I would still put one team in tier 1 and then like 6 teams in tier 2.
So it's tricky, right? Okay. And so but I ran stuff using the RotoGrinders Plate IQ projections, and you're using the bat projections. I did check this earlier, and the bat does seem to like Blake Snell a fair bit more than the RotoGrinders projections happen to. Our actual projection for Snell, now that I'm at it, on for RG about 16 fantasy points for DK. I think Snell was at least 17, unless things have changed. You're looking at it right now, aren't you? What's Snell's projection on
Snell? We have on the bat at 18 median.
Okay.
Nola at 20, Logan Allen at 19, Joe Ryan at 16, and then everything kind of drops off from there a bit.
Yeah, I don't agree with the Nola one as a median at 20 fantasy points, and we'll talk about that one as well. Without looking, and these are things that like you don't. There's no way you're gonna. How many? And I'm obviously framing this question too. How many consecutive games has Aaron Nola started where he's given up at least one home run?
I'm assuming all of them.
Well, he's pitched 15.
So 15. I'm gonna guess 15.
Every game he's giving up a home run.
I don't know the way that you're phrased. I'm looking at the meta of why would you be asking this question? Why would you be asking this question if it wasn't some extreme? It's either like, oh, not many or a lot. So I'm just going to go the exaggerative. It's like, how many? If it was 7, like, why would you even bring up that stat?
7's a lot. Noah's like one of the best pitchers in the league like for the last 5 years. That's a lot.
Yeah, 7. But he can still give up a home run a game. I mean, look at Abbott yesterday, right? He gives up 3 home runs.
You're comparing Abbott and Aaron Nola?
No, about Garrett Cole gives up home runs and still strikes out 12. I mean, like,
yeah.
Who cares about how many home runs? As long as they're solo shots and it's only once in a blue moon and once in a while, fine, give up 1 home run a game.
Well, yeah, but you can't delegate and say.
So what's the answer then? Fine.
11 games in a row for Aaron Nola. He's giving up a home run.
See, I was close. You were like, 15.
Well, I framed it in a way. Yeah, but you let me manipulate you by asking them. Why can't I just ask the question straight and just like say, you answer the question?
You don't ask straight questions, Dean.
So. Also, he's given up a career high in fly ball percentage, a career high. And this is the stuff I was digging into earlier today, working on the survey, kind of like the Braves. Always like the Braves. The Braves leading the league in home runs per game. I think it's 1.75 homers per game. They did also get to Nola earlier in the year. Those are things you care about. They probably aren't. I think they only gave up 3 homers versus Atlanta in a previous game this season. But your question was, you're talking about one team and then 6 teams. So what's the outlier team?
From a stack perspective.
Yeah, meaning as far as in a practical way, right? As far as considering the salaries and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
What team is standing out? I would say, you know what? And this is DK, correct?
Yes.
I think it's one of 2 teams. I think it's either Minnesota or Arizona.
Okay,
it's one of those 2, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's Arizona, Minnesota, 108.67. And this is about half an hour ago. I'll rerun this. Shouldn't change that much. We had all the line. I mean, 8 of the lineups were out when I ran this, so this should be the same way. And then we have 6 teams. I think one. So the next teams. So Minnesota, the top team, 108, about 108.5. Then we got the next team at 107.5, 107.1, 106.1, 106.3, 105.6,
Tell people what this means.
105.5.
I know what this means. Tell them what this means, what these numbers are saying.
These are median projection numbers of the entire line.
Okay. Yeah.
If you play 5 players from that team, obviously in the best one-offs in projection, just to give you a sense, outside of ownership, like what combinations of 5 players on the team based on their price and position and median projection, expect to perform better, have a higher range of outcomes overall. But the difference between Minnesota and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams is cheap. Only the difference of at most 3 points. At most 3 points. So what?
So Minnesota's 1. You just give it away. Minnesota's 1.
Minnesota is 1, yes, but it's only a point and a half like higher than the next team. So like I put them on tier 1, but it's not that much higher than tier 2. But tier 2 has like 6 teams in it that you said Arizona. Arizona is in that tier, but from a median standpoint, they're not that much different than the other 5 teams that are here.
Yeah, Minnesota is really cheap, and they're facing also the ballpark is spectacular as far as the heat. We do have the fire emoji, at least we did earlier. Let me give it a refresh. As far as other weather today, nothing as far as precipitation we should be concerned with. I'll go ahead and drop Kevin Roth's article here in the chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Please, we'd appreciate that. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things to help us keep the proverbial lights on. Green, yellow in Philadelphia, yellow, green in Washington. Seattle Yankees, that's later on today, right? I don't know when they play. Weather Edge for Minnesota, it was a small sample. Okay, so 54 games. It's interesting. It's not a huge jump, a huge spike as far as homers, 2.5%, but it is a spike. 5.8% as far as runs, but we are getting the fire emoji. Crosswind at 8 miles per hour, 87 degrees. You got the dew point at 58, so it's pretty hot in
the
Minnesota
fire emoji
today.
means, I mean, the fact that once we get the fire emoji, that means you're all in. I mean, what happens if we got other emojis, Dean? What happens if I got the eggplant emoji? What does that mean?
I don't think an eggplant emoji is. I don't know if that's something. It's in the chief meteorologist Kevin Roth Weather Edge, apparatus.
Is that a good thing? If we did have an eggplant emoji, would that be a good thing or not? Would it be? We're
you stack immediately. Eggplant.
Oh no, but it could be that maybe because of the weather conditions, maybe there's a delay and maybe you're going to get screwed. Maybe that's why the eggplant emoji.
That's all up to interpretation, I suppose.
Well, that's why I asked you. It's like we have the fire emoji.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, should we be incorporating other emojis?
Have you noticed this with the YouTube? Maybe on the chat, like in the bottom right corner, there's like a heart
and now
button.
There's a little emoji picker for something. I mean,
is this something you can hit? Like if you like what's going on currently, like in this exact moment in the show, you hit the heart button. Is that what happens?
Or something? Or no, you get other options. You go over. Look, here's a party one there.
There's no eggplant. Why is eggplant should be an option? I lobby for eggplant. There's only 5.
Why can't the eggplant be in there?
There's 100.
So it doesn't show up in chat. It's kind of like what Periscope used to be. It's like TikTok, kind of like whatever. I just
hit the heart button and like a heart pops up. I don't mean to like manipulate the algorithm, but I was just curious what it does. But the people are now hitting it. There's a birthday celebration. Who said these are the 5? These are the 5 that we have to have. Like, what was that board meeting like? Because I feel like they could have done better.
Of course, Steve Jones is trying to post the eggplant emoji, and it censors it. I have to show these, right? See, there you go.
Yeah, the eggplant.
Right, I have to show. Look at the moderation. Anytime that someone puts in an eggplant, I got to start, approving these now.
Well, as they're saying in the chat, that the eggplant can mean. You said, "Oh, Mike, screw you." Maybe it means dongs are coming. Right? We're gonna get. We like the long ball. We like the dongs, right? So
right. That could be. That's what it should be when the wind is like 15 mile an hour plus blowing out to center field. We should have the eggplant emoji.
Roth will be coming on soon enough, and you can ask Roth. You can sort of give him. I don't know if he has like a suggestion box, but let him know. Like, listen,
why isn't right? That's the question. Why don't we have more emojis on Weather Edge? What does it take for me to add the eggplant emoji to it?
I think that's a fair question. We can ask Roth. They certainly. It's a short slate. They'll be looking to kill some time.
Fair question.
It's not a fair question.
No. Does anything that come out of my mouth be a fair question?
Relatively speaking, though, as your questions, it's one of the fairer ones you will ask. I'll say that.
Okay. On a scale of my questions, that's actually a more reasonable one.
So Minnesota is facing Justin Garza, who's the opener, and the long man is a person named Brandon Walter. I believe Brandon Walter is making his MLB debut. I don't know why. Looking at his numbers in the minor leagues, he wasn't promoted for merit reasons. He was bad. He was bad in the minors. I guess they have some injuries. I know Chris Sale is dinged. I'm not sure who else is dinged as far as Boston. I'm not sure if Kirkwood is lurking in chat, but I don't know why this is the dude they picked. But this isn't like some stud prospect is the point I'm making. So he's been bad, and he's older. I want to say he's like 27 or so. His prospect status. Here we go. Let's see. 6.28 ERA, 26-year-old. I don't see it. 64, 26 K to the walk ratio. Basically just a tick over a strikeout per inning. Too many walks, not enough strikeouts. I don't get it. I don't really see it.
You know what I've noticed, Dean, on this slate, not to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Half the pitchers on this slate have 2 first names.
Yeah, it's funny. I noticed that as well when I was punching the names in when I was building. Joe Ryan was one, and Logan Allen, Tommy, Jake Irvin, Tommy Henry,
Brandon Walter, right? Does that mean does that mean that we should
get a buddy named Snell
first names, right? That means we play Aaron Nola and Blake Snell because they don't have 2 first names, or do we play for 2 first name people? What does the model say?
Well, the model says do not play Tommy Henry, I think, and it also says do not play Jake Irvin. So.
So if we're not playing Tommy Henry, that means we shouldn't play anyone with 2 first names.
No, I don't think it's a universal rule. It's
no correlation there. You haven't done some back testing on that.
No, I don't think. I mean, we can take that up with Cardi and the bat. I don't know if the bat has worked that in any kind of way. Kirkwood in chat. There you go. You mentioned his name. Yeah, Tanner Houck. He's got a face. Injury. Was it like a comebacker or something? I just saw like the note. It's like Tanner Houck face won't return. I didn't see the play. I assume he got hit in the face. I'm guessing. Hopefully he's fine, but he's not throwing baseballs today, and that's why he was replaced. And he confirms, I don't understand why this is the best they can do in Brandon Walter, but I guess Boston's not really going anywhere this year anyway, so why not just throw him out there? But he looks bad is the point, and the weather looks pretty good. Minnesota's pretty cheap. You mentioned Buxton. Buxton's $3K on Fanduel. What an awesome price over there in Fanduel. He did just break. I was watching the game. I believe it was an 0 for 24 streak. So he's been scuffling. Obviously, he swings and misses a lot, but when he actually hits it, he can annihilate the baseball. The only thing they said in the broadcast, which is kind of interesting, this is the stuff you pick up when you #watch the game, Splendor. The big edges that I'm getting here. They said he's like not healthy enough to play the field. Like he can't play the field, but he can still steal bases, which is just a weird. I don't know. Is that strange?
Maybe his hand-eye coordination problems. Well, then he's batting. I mean,
yeah.
I think maybe he's just lazy. Just doesn't feel.
No, it's not that he's lazy. Well, he's got a long history of injuries, but and the manager even said if he could play the field, we'd let him play the field. But it's just odd that he's just incapable of playing the field. Center field is where I think that's a standard position, somewhere in the outfield.
He could run in a straight line, but he can't if the ball is in any different direction, pivoting.
If he's got to go 90 degrees, though. He can go 90 feet, and then he has to go 90 degrees. I don't know if that's tricky for him.
It seems like that would be bad for base running also.
I don't know. Yeah, I just thought it was an odd thing. It's just kind of an odd thing that they said. It was okay. But, yeah, and today I assume he is DHing. I guess he's basically been DHing all season long. By the way, speaking of Minnesota, get excited. Not today. It's DFS. We care about today and today only. But the Twins have signed Dallas Keuchel to a minor league deal. So, whenever
his first start, that means you play the other.
He was a Cy Young winner, maybe twice, at least once, and he became the worst pitcher in baseball.
Look at Madison Bumgarner. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Both the lefties, kind of a soft tosser, more so Keuchel. But looking forward to that for sure. Let's talk pitchers. General rules are you're not supposed to play Blake Snell when he's going to be reasonably popular. The interesting thing, I think you're mostly playing on DraftKings and not on Fanduel. I think Snell on Fanduel is really interesting because he's 10-8. He's jumped all the way up there as far as asking price. He's more expensive than Ryan, more expensive than Noah. Nola expected to be the front runner because you're going to get a bit of a discount at 9.3K. But again, tough matchup, and he's also not been in good form basically all season long. He's not been the Aaron Nola you've known for the last 5+ years or so. You're sort of overspending for Snell, and ownership over there is just 14%, single pitcher. And again, he struck out 12 dudes back-to-back games, and he's facing a San Francisco team that is impatient, willing to strike out. And he's kind of sort of he's playing against himself because you never really, the lineup doesn't matter, right? If the stuff is on, the stuff is on, and that's that. But I'm for sure going to have more, and this is uncomfortable, more Blake Snell than the field. I'm in the 3 lineups today on FanDuel. I'm going to have at least 2. And I'm going to play him on DK as well. Ownership-wise on DK, Logan Allen, 2 first names, 40% ownership. Blake Snell is getting 35% on DK, so a little bit more popular over there, obviously. Nola, 35%. Same price as Snell. It's like, I don't get that. I'll just take Snell and deal with the lows if the highs have a chance to get there as well. Joe Ryan, also 2 first names at 30% against a Boston lineup that I'd imagine it's pretty left-handed. Who's David Hamilton? What? You know who David Hamilton is?
He's Mrs. Hamilton's kid. I don't know.
That's the best you got?
I tried to come up with something. It's like, dude,
was improv never your thing? I mean, I feel like you could, if we had a second take, you probably can do better on that one. But
yeah.
Of the famed Hamiltons, is this his debut? Should I know who David Hamilton is? 25 years old, 8th round pick. Oh, he's a speedster, 70%. He's got a 70 grade on.
Is he Billy Hamilton's brother?
I don't know. He might be. He had 70 stolen bases in 2022 in the minor leagues in just 119 games. This year, he's got 27 stolen bases and 11 homers. Is he actually in the pool or no? He is not in the pool. He is on
DraftKings.
He is. Okay. Is he 2K?
Yeah, he's 2K, min price.
Okay. Shortstop? I can talk to that. If I need an absolute punt, somebody that can, obviously the matchup's not great there against Joe Ryan and both his first names, but all right. And this is his MLB debut? Wait. Oh, he's played 1 game. He has a no official plate appearances, a run and a stolen base. I'm going to imagine he was a pinch runner. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Right, which is the problem with people like him is that, yeah, he scores a lot of points when he gets on base, but he needs to hit the ball to get on base.
Kirkwood in chat just confirmed, yeah, he pinch ran last night and he stole a base. So there you go. I don't know. Maybe he's related to Billy Hamilton. They're floating around the idea of having like sort of like a ghost man. Have you heard this? Baseball's talking about
ghost man.
Well, it's not exactly.
How the hell is that going to work?
When you played baseball as a kid, you didn't play Ghost Man on first?
I know, the invisible runners, right? Because you'd only have it's 2 people playing.
You only have so many friends, yeah.
Right. They're going to do that? We're going to go with stickball rules? What are we doing here?
There's the idea they floated out, and who knows if it's going to happen or if it's not. It would revitalize Billy Hamilton's career, though, where they said basically there's maybe one point in the game you could take a runner out and bring him back in, and that's I guess where Billy Hamilton would.
I think it was a designated pinch runner. Like they could come into the game at any point as a pinch runner, as a designated pinch runner.
By the way, Pete's saying, can you play Garza as a punt on DK? No. Why? Why would we do that? Blender, you answer that question. Or is Walter a better bet? Like Walter's got a chance to at least.
I mean, like Garza's gonna pitch an inning or 2, maybe.
Yeah, like what are you shooting
40 for? Pitches? Maybe 40 pitches?
You're shooting for what? 2 innings and like 5 strikeouts? So you want to thread that needle? You're not going to get the W. I don't see any reason why you would do that.
I'm trying to reinvent the wheel here. Playing Garza is like playing an invisible pitcher. Okay.
Well, ghost instead of the ghost man, the
ghost pitcher. He's a ghost pitcher.
Yeah, and as far as Walter, like Walter's obviously his numbers are terrible, but it's certainly possible. Like he comes in and goes 3 or 4 innings, and like does okay, and there are strikeouts there. But I don't know. How, you were talking before, like we were making lineups that have 4,000 left over, 3,000 left over. I don't think it's necessary. Is my answer. And I'm not making enough lineups to even consider that. But I think amongst Snell and Nola and Ryan and Allen, Elder's okay. Like a couple of these guys are going to get like at least 15 to 20, and you're going to have the salary to still put good bats around them. It's just unnecessary. Is sort of my answer. I wonder what Dave said. I did not get a chance to read his article because.
Well,
you have
just
to read
the
the music today?
We have pitchers on the slate that are going to pitch 100+ pitches, and yeah, you could play Walter may go 70, 75 pitches.
Well, we have a projection for him. We have 68 is like a median projection, and Garza 34. So
right,
it just does not
34 pitches. You might as well play. No. What are you doing?
If it was a 2 or 3 game slate and like the other pitchers were terrible, the other stars, then sure, yeah. And then you had to spend up for bats, and it was a crunch as far as salary. Absolutely entertain it, but we're projecting a median projection of 4.5 fantasy points for Garza. Like it's no chance of the win.
Not
obviously,
a good sign that the chat knows more about David Hamilton than we do.
No, he just got called up yesterday.
It seems like everyone is best friends with this guy. That they've gone out to Denny's with him or something. I have no idea. It seems, why do people know who David Hamilton is so much?
I'm usually on top of prospects for the most part. I'm in a couple. This is my humble. I'm in a couple like dynasty leagues, that kind of stuff, where I'm always aware of who's lurking, that kind of stuff, and then I'm not aware of David Hamilton. According to Fangraphs, he was the 21st ranked prospect on Boston. So I cannot rattle off 21 prospects on any team. So we're not supposed to know who he is, basically.
Right. Kirkwood's even putting in all caps. It's like, okay, we get it. He can't hit, but he can run. There you go. Done.
Yeah. Well, what is your angle as far as pitchers? Where are you at? Logan Allen's getting a ton of ownership. Obviously, he's facing Oakland. Oakland not very good, yada, yada. We did see our boy get blown up yesterday. I don't know if you played the night slate or not, but he just had one bad inning. Williams, the big prospect for Cleveland. But I'm not afraid of Oakland. They're better against lefties, sure. You're getting a bit of a discount at Allen as well. But how are you attacking pitchers?
I think I'm only playing 3 pitchers: Nola, Snell, and Allen.
That's it.
That's it. And I think I'm more likely to play if I had a choice, more Nola than Snell. But Logan Allen ain't that great of a pitcher. Just that he's facing Oakland. He's 7,900, and he's probably going to pitch over 100 pitches. So sounds good to me.
Can you sell me on Nola? On
what do you have to sell on Nola? Nola's a good pitcher. Atlanta could strike out. Yeah, he has a tougher matchup, but his ownership is going to be lower because of that.
But the Atlanta strikeout guys aren't even in the lineup today. Well, I guess there's some.
Zuda's in the lineup, for crying out loud. Come on.
He's actually been a lot better than last month. I was poo-pooing him earlier this season.
Michael Harris, Eddie Rosario. Riley strikes out.
Rosario's like the hottest hitter in baseball. At least it was for like a week or so.
Rob, I don't care about small samples. I care about
I know, but you're taking shots at Rosario, and Atlanta's one of the best offenses in all of baseball. And
they have a 3.91 implied run total. Okay,
they're going to score 4 runs or more.
Well, then bet on it. Then there you go. Go bet on it.
Can I bet on it in the book of Blender?
No, go. I will charge you. I have very high holds.
The K's 20.8% collectively. Like you mentioned, like Acuna is just an incredible player. Not only does he smash baseballs and steal bases and take walks, but he doesn't strike out either. 10.2% walks, 13.8% Ks, 413 WOBA. It's just insane how good he is. Obviously he's super expensive, and if you ever have money, by all means, get yourself some Acuna. Being on the road, a really, really good shot at those 5 ABs as well. Albie has moved up to the 2-hole. I prefer him versus lefties, but sure, he's fine as well. Riley on Fanduel is 3-1, really, really good price. Olsen's been pumped up a little bit as far as asking price, but I'm more so going to play the Braves than I am going to roster Nola, is the long story short on that.
I don't care what's happened the past 2 games.
I'm talking the whole season. The Braves have been the best home run hitting team all season. And Nola has a career high fly ball rate.
I'm not saying that they're a bad team, Dean. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm saying it's a 5-game slate, and who am I going to play at pitching? So, no, I don't play Nola. I play Tommy Henry. Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing that either. I mean, I think I'm playing Allen and Snell first. I know
people are talking about playing JP Sears for crying out loud.
He's
I'm playing Guardians today. I mean, okay, good luck on it.
Sears isn't horrendous.
No, he's not horrendous, but like I don't care. The 3 games sample sizes. That's the reason why good DFS players have such an edge over bad DFS players. That in the long run, like all these statistics normalize out, they regress and everything. That you can't just they were hitting hot yesterday, so I'm going to play them today. Like that's not what projections are. So like you have to look at much larger sample sizes on this. And JP Sears is not a Cy Young Award winner. So like people, his past couple of starts, okay. Well, look at Snell.
I'm not talking about Sears' past couple of starts.
Yeah, I remember a month ago, people were like, Blake Snell is broken, right?
Yes.
Blake Snell's awful. He's walking 6 people, right? He
was.
I mean, he was. You're right. And then I'm sitting here with Cardi. The long scale projections. It's like nothing has changed dramatically in his pitch mix, in his velocity, and anything. And Blake Snell would project well, and then people would make fun of people that friends don't let friends roster Blake Snell, right? And then look what has happened the past month. He goes out and just destroys people for multiple starts in a row, and now everyone, Blake Snell's back. That doesn't mean anything either. It's like you look at things that very much.
Well, he's not this good, and he's not that bad, right?
Right.
He's not as good as he was the last couple starts, and he's not as horrendous as he was the first month of the season. He's somewhere in the middle.
Right. And one of the biggest edges, Dean, in DFS, since it's a daily game, it's not a season-long thing, where you get that 162 game sample for all your stats, is that you take advantage of people with recency bias of just like, it's happened the past week, it has to continue happening. That doesn't mean it can't continue happening, just that they're going to be higher owned than they should because of that reason. So I take a look at the difference between Nola and Snell and go, well, the Braves are a better team. They've been hitting well. Nola's not looked great the past starts, but it's still Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola can still go out and strike out 11 Braves. He can also give up 6 runs. I mean, yeah.
He can. The point I was making about Nola is he hasn't been Nola all season long. Like the entire body. You really can't take 5 games in a row, I don't think, for Nola, where it's like, he was great here. And I'm with you, too. I completely agree. Give me the large sample over the small sample. Of course, these players are all fluid, and they're always like tinkering and figuring stuff out. They feel better some days, sometimes, and you're trying to figure out stuff out as well. Worth noting in the favor of Nola, good weather for pitching in Philadelphia, according to Weather Edge. 64 degrees, temperature, 12 miles per hour, blowing straight in from center field. We have a small sample on this, an 18-game sample, according to Weather Edge. A decrease in homers in those similar games at 22.6%.
So to be clear, if we went to the blender emoji, the blender emoji,
not an eggplant.
That would not be an eggplant play. That correct.
What would it be if not an egg? What's the opposite of an eggplant? I'm asking for.
I don't know. I don't know all the emojis.
I don't know either. What are the kids tweeting these days? I have no clue. Chat, let us know. What's the opposite of an eggplant? What's the opposite of that? So let us know, because I'm kind of curious. I got to add it to my tweeting repertoire. So we have Allen, super popular, 40%. Snell at 35 on DK, not nearly as heavily owned on FanDuel. Nola at 35. Did you mention Joe Ryan? Was he one of your 3 years?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm going to be playing. I think I'm playing Boston against him, but he's there.
So you're making 5 lineups, one with, one without, that kind of thing?
No, I don't think I'm going to play Ryan at all.
Okay, you're attacking him.
My Venom Bomb. I know TJ isn't on the next show, but
he's in the chat.
The bat home run projection, the top one by a decent margin is Rafael Devers today.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm Devers out. I say the whole thing about I care about large samples, and I keep taking shots on Devers with like no ownership. And I had him on a lineup, but that was my best lineup that was doing well. And my whole take was like, was it Monday or it was Tuesday when Boston put up 10 runs, and Devers did nothing in those 10 runs. I'm bitter about that one game blender, which is so stupid.
Well, that's why that's exactly. I want people to be bitter, right?
Yeah.
Devers, we have the bat has them at 11% own on a 5-game slate.
Yeah. Well, Ryan's good too, but yeah, for sure he should be in the mix. The third base is actually pretty good, also as like a general position. Crunch time's going to come on in 15 minutes. They're going to go around the horn, position by position. Some positions are certainly stronger than others. J-Ram looks good. He's been good all week. Looks good all week.
J-Ram will easily be 3 times more owned than Rafael Devers today.
And like single entry stuff, 4 or 5 times more, if not more as well. So Machado's 2.9 on FanDuel. Really, really good price for Machado. Not certain if he's going to be in the lineup or not, but certainly you can play him. And again, Riley's really cheap on FanDuel also. So maybe take advantage of both those players. Like Devers, spend up on Devers, spend up to be different. FanDuel specifically also on DK, where he's 5'6", and J-Ram is 5'4". There was another position I think I really liked when I was doing my stuff.
I mean,
shortstop.
Everything that you do, I mean, if you play Logan Allen, especially, it leads you. You have the money to play Joe Ram. You have Corbin Carroll or Marte at second, and Tatis in the outfield if you want. I mean, like if you want to play Acuna, Buxton at 5,000, like you could play. I mean, you could play anything you want on this slate. I mean,
you should coin that.
That's good. Yeah, I should play whoever you want. But the point that I'm making strategically is that it's going to increase the ownership of these higher priced players at those positions. If you flip the build a little bit more, you could still play a semi-chalky lineup, just not in combination with a bunch of those players.
So when I'm talking about lineup construction, I'm talking about from a perspective of like 400, 500, 600 people, and you know that. Like, so that's how my conversation goes. And I want to mention every so often, a lot of people are playing, the lotto contest that have 30,000 entries, and it's a different build. You're in the single entry stuff, the 3 entry max.
I play 5 lineups, but I play 1 in the 121, and then I play the other 4 in the larger field stuff also.
Yeah,
the 121, my lineup will be contrarian to some extent, but not like I'm never really like significantly off the board. Yeah. But it really depends on the leverage that you could get on the pitchers. So like Joe Ryan, I have at 23% owned. I'm not sure he's going to be that owned. I think he's actually going to be higher owned in large field than he will be in small field.
I think that's true because
I think Allen and Snell are going to be much more owned. So like there would be more value in the 121 in playing Oakland or San Francisco or Atlanta, I guess, for Nola to some extent. But I don't like those 3 teams don't rate out as well to me. So like it's quite possible that my lineup looks a little bit chalkier today in the 121. Now, if you told me that Joe Ryan was going to be 50% owned today, and Boston rates out well, it's like, yeah, then it makes it much easier in the 121 for me to let me just play Boston in the 121 and get so much more leverage. Now, the opposite of that in the 121 is that I'm much, much, much less likely to play Corbin Carroll, Jose Ramirez, Ketel Marte as like one-offs, right? Because it's going to be they're going to be heavily owned for bats, like high owned bats. They're the highest variance position, right? Yeah. I don't mind playing Corbin Carroll in a 5-man Arizona stack because now you're reducing the amount of lineups that you're competing against because they also have other Diamondbacks or they have other Padres for Tatis or they have other Guardians for Jose Ramirez. But like if I'm going to play 2 chalky pitchers in the 121, like I need to find a way to remove the amount of combinations that I'm competing against. So I'm unlikely to play Corbin Carroll as a one-off or Jose Ramirez or Ketel Marte, right? Because second and third are second is definitely a weaker position today. Like I just don't want to play them. To me, strategically, I think from a combinatoric perspective, it
there it is, bingo.
Now, if you're playing Tommy Henry in your single entry, your 121 or something, yeah, then now you can play Corbin Carroll one-offs or whatever. But if I'm playing 2 pitchers that are going to be like 40+% owned, 30, 40, 50% owned, like I need to wait to get away from those combinations that have those 2 pitchers in them.
Marte is going to be popular at second base. You mentioned the old Keystone position. It's not that deep. Julien, I'm afraid to always play because he gets the hook a lot. Whenever a lefty comes in, he gets the hook. He got the hook yesterday, I believe. I think he's leading off and he's cheap. He's got
but
a little
remember, Walter is a lefty.
Yeah, which I assume that they know that, right? So I don't know what the story is, but I assume that they're going to let him go. It's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Quite possible. Maybe he only gets one at bat.
We've seen that before out of Minnesota, for what it's worth. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but Minnesota has done that this year where they have pinch hit like in the fourth inning when something similar happened. Again, I'm not trying to tell people to do that, but I'm not going to – I don't think I'm playing Julien is the long story short. I'll save elsewhere. I'll figure out a way to be different elsewhere. And I'm pretty sure he's one of the more popular players on this slate.
Well, because the Twins project well. So, he's at a weak position. And if you're stacking the Twins – well, there you go. You got yourself a cheap second base.
Perdomo is going to be really popular on Fanduel, especially where he's leading off for Arizona. Somebody asked in chat about the weather and in Washington. Not great hitting weather according to Weather Edge. The sample's not huge, just 21 games. But in 21 games, a decrease in homers at 34%. Oddly enough, an increase in runs at 9%. It is looking at 9-mile-per-hour winds blowing in. 65 is the temperature, so I don't think that's like spectacular as a thought process, but just runs did go up in 21. And it's 21 games. I generally don't acknowledge 21 games in Weather Edge. See what Roth has to say about it if he has anything to add. As far
I don't
as
think that's eggplant emoji worthy.
By the way, the chat did. I asked them what the opposite of an eggplant is, and let's see. Chaos said a donut. Patrick said peaches.
Yeah, peaches? I think I did that. Truthfully, it's the peach. It's the peach.
Yeah, it took me a second, but yeah, I think that's the answer. Let's see. Eggplant versus hammer. I'm just reading things in chat now, which can go awry. Yeah, Alan was asking about the wind in Washington. Wait, is Buxton not playing? Why are you saying? Oh, they're saying don't play Buxton. Okay. Somebody in chat said no Buxton. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to be different as far as your Minnesota stack, sure. All right.
While you're in the chat, hit the thumbs up button, by the way.
Give me those thummy thumbs, right? Is that what we say here, Blender?
Well, I say it at least.
Do we say give me those smiles and birthdays and 100s and all those?
I don't know. Do those count as something? I don't know.
I don't know. I just hit the heart. Like, you see it? Like, are you looking at chat? Let's see how fast.
Yeah,
it
has a little. It's just like.
Can you see it popping up?
Boing, there you go. Boing, it went up.
I don't know what we're doing.
What does that? It can't be anything other than positive, though, right?
I mean, heart. There should be some negative options, right? Like a smelly face
but I think
or something.
The point is that YouTube, from an algorithmic perspective, may want to try to figure out what points of the show or a video during a live stream are more entertaining or more valuable. So based on what we've been doing, they're now going to shift people to certain parts of the video, and it's not going to be useful ones for what we're doing, because the ones that we're getting the most of these emojis are the ones where we're talking about the emojis.
Yeah. By the way, Minnesota is also starting Kepler. They're starting Julien. They're starting Kirilloff. They're starting 3 lefties, and Gallo's the only lefty I can think of that's not starting. So I mean, they can't obviously pinch hit for all of them. It's just, again, I'm not trying to scare anybody away. Gallo got kicked out of the game yesterday. I believe he was arguing balls and strikes, got thrown out. I didn't see the play, but I saw he was called out in strikes and he was gone. He was ejected. And, context clues tells me he probably said the wrong word to the umpire. You talk about being a contrarian. You were defending umpires yesterday. Nobody defends umpires like Blender. You have umpire sympathy.
Yeah, no. Well, because I was right. I'm not defending. I'm stating facts.
You said they're 99% correct, which is that's not right.
Strikes, they are. Yeah, go.
No, they're not. You ever see the scorecards? They're not 99% correct. They're like 85, 90, whatever it is.
Or whatever. Well, you try doing it. You'll be halfway. You'll be 50% of the time. You'll be calling stuff that's ridiculous.
Well, I'm not an accountant. That's why I'm not doing your taxes. That's not what I do for a living. It's not my professional job.
But I'm saying the difference between they're only 90%. It's like, yeah, that's still like the upper 0.001% of humanity that can even do that.
Steve wants to know Devers or Turner in your Boston stack. Well, I mean, it's Ideally, you want Devers, right? But certainly Turner can outscore him. I'll ask you because I think you're making a Boston stack. I'm assuming you have Devers in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the highest home run projection in the bat. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't play one with Turner. Obviously, you can't play one with both on DraftKings. But yeah, I mean, I
why can't you? You can play Turner at first and Devers at third.
Oh, Turner's first eligible also?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I can do that.
Yeah.
I just build lineups. Whatever they come in, I don't place individual players into slots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at them and you stare at them and you pick amongst like the 10 or 20 or 30 you built, right? So this is the one I want. I think that's your selection process.
Oh, I guess to some degree, yeah, depending on the ownership.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to tell you what your process is, but I feel like you've explained that before. Like you'll
I've
make
done it on the show, Dean. Dude.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this show, right? They scheduled this. It was originally supposed to be just me and the pregame show at 11.
Yes.
My pregame show was going to be me building lineups for this slate.
By the way, my bad. I was looking at the FanDuel lineups page, and I stand corrected. Yeah, so Turner is just
he's on the start of lineup page as only a third baseman, so that's why I thought he was only a third baseman.
Yeah, I was looking at FanDuel. So FanDuel, different conversation. You have utility spot anyway. It wouldn't matter if they're both third base only, but right. Turner
people
is
should be
first
putting
base,
in whatever negative connotation emoji.
Yeah, this will be the poem. This will be like the thumbs down or something like that.
Something.
Paul just jumped in and said Noah's a bad play.
Okay.
What do you think? Now,
I don't know. I don't call people good or bad plays. All I know is that based on projections, his median is 20.44. His one standard deviation range is 9 to 33. There you go, 9 to 33. That's all I know.
We didn't talk about Elder. Bryce Elder pitching for the Braves.
Talk about Elder?
Well,
I respect my elders, but I don't play my elders.
For starters, Brandon in chat's asking Elder or Snell, so that's why we should talk about him. I'm happy to answer chat's questions.
Difference is 6.5. You play Snell.
Yeah, but what of the ownership difference?
It's not dramatic enough. I have it at 11% to 36%, so like that isn't dramatic enough.
I don't like that.
And you play. It's a 5-game slate, dude. It's a 5-game slate. You could play anyone. I mean, you can, but build the rest of your lineup accordingly. Playing Bryce Elder in an Oakland 5-man stack, probably. I'm going to sacrifice 22 points of projection for no reason.
Elder has he's got a skill. He gets ground balls, 57% ground balls in the season.
Do we get points for that on DK? Do we get ground ball points?
Well, I mean, you get points for outs, and you
doesn't matter if it's a ground ball or a fly ball out.
Correct, but fly balls are more likely to go over the fence as opposed to ground balls.
Hey, I've seen ground ball home runs before.
You have?
But I'm going to guess David Hamilton at some point happened, right?
Ground in Little League, you're talking about the
dive for it. It goes all the way to the wall, and it's inside the park home run. Come on.
Yeah, you need something goofy if you're hitting the ball on the ground. You can use one of those is Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson's still at 0 home runs for the season, and he's got I think his fly ball rate in the season is 15%, which it's low. It's very low. Multiple people in chat are talking about Sears. Not the is Sears the establishment? Is that still a thing? Sears?
I don't know. Do you still get the catalogs?
I mean, that's even that you're really dating yourself with that reference. But I don't think the catalog's still a thing. I don't know if the actual company is like, can I walk into a Sears at my local mall? I'm not really sure. I'm talking about JP. The chat's talking about JP Sears against the Guardians. I don't think I'm getting there. Again, I don't make enough lineups.
People in chat are like, I'm playing Joe Ryan and JP Sears. It's like, well, I'm just telling you, I'm playing Cleveland and Boston today. I'm just telling you, that's what I'm playing today.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we're here to. I like to ask questions on behalf of the chat, and you can answer them however you like.
They're not good questions, Dean. You have to. I mean, come on. Sometimes you have to admit they're not.
Well, I mean, look. That's subjective as far as I'm good or bad the question.
You're right. It is subjective. You're right. It
is. And somebody may not know. They might be running an optimizer. And what is Sears getting as far as ownership? He's getting some, right? 15. It's a short slate, and he's pretty cheap. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's punchless, right? They don't have a lot of home run pop, but they also don't strike out. We know the story there. Arias is struck out a ton, 44%. I'm rounding up, 43.9% if you want to get all tactical. Just 57 at bats, But despite him being in the lineup and Bell at 26.5%, collectively, we're talking about 18.2% strikeouts. J-Ram at 9.2, Naylor at 12.9. I should specify, not Bo, that's Josh. Ahmed is 12.7, Kwan's at 12, but they're completely punchless, right? We talked about the Braves having the most homers on the season, 1.75 per game. Cleveland, before yesterday at least, was like 0.65. Just no power at all. TJ Zwarch, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. You knew that, right? He's talking about playing Sears' second highest owned scoring. Wait, he's saying
that CJ's apparently from the future. I just look and I see his projection is
Saskatoon's not in the future. It's in the present time.
To 24, somewhere in
there. Kirkwood said he made a large wager. What was his large wager? What's Kirkwood's stand? I'm curious. TJ said that Sears is going to be the second highest scoring pitcher on the slate behind Snell. And you're not rostering either one of those guys. You're not rostering Snell or
I know.
Sears.
I will have Snell. I have 5 lineups. Snell will be in lineups. But I think I'll end up with like 3 Nola lineups and 2 Snell lineups or something like that, or 4 Nola, 3 Snells or something, something to that regard.
Kirkwood saying game of the week. He's teasing us. What side or total did Kirkwood? Is it a player prop or he just took a side? He doesn't want to mention it.
Dean, he doesn't want you to mush it. He doesn't want the good old Dean mush. No, he's not going to tell you.
You know mushes aren't real, right? We can agree on that.
Of course I do, except for you. For you, they're real.
So the real, I am the outlier.
You have to admit, Dean, that you have a statistically higher chance for some reason of mushing something.
No, it's like coincidences. You only notice it when it actually happens. Nobody ever says like, "You'll never believe it. I went to the store today and I didn't run into anybody. Nothing goofy happened. I just got my eggs and I left." Nobody tells that story. They only
Everyone
tell
hit one of the emojis if you think that Dean mushes mostly everything he talks
about. You know what? I mushed Colton Wong yesterday. I said Colton Wong is horrendous and should be DFA'd. I don't think he did anything last night. Seattle was essentially shut out. So
that's not a mush. A mush is a positive thing.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Mush inherently is negative. You're saying somebody's going to...
No. You're saying
no. You don't know how things work,
and
sir.
then they don't. Not someone is bad because more people are bad.
No. You're saying when you mush somebody, you're saying so-and-so is going to stink. You don't say, I'm going to mush Blake Snell and say he's going to be the best player. I guess it works both ways. But
right. Like TJ is more likely to mush Sears based on what he said than say that this guy sucks.
Hold on a second. The crunch time crew.
We don't have the mush definitions.
This is an important conversation. We have Kevin Roth. We have SquirrelPatrol.
Mushes are bad.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's what I always. That mushes are bad.
They're bad when you mush something. If I were to say like, oh, the Guardians are going to score 12 runs today, and then Dean goes, yeah, I think they're going to score 12 runs today. I'd be like, oh, don't mush them because now they're
throw them in the closet, right?
If I said that the Guardians are going to get shut out today, and Dean said, yeah, I think they're going to get shut out, and go, don't mush it. It makes a little bit more sense. The mush applies more for when you expect a positive outcome, and then Dean agrees with it.
See, I think Dean is just like a black cloud of everything. That's just my personal take. He's just like
separate me from the conversation. Pretend I'm not involved, and now continue your thoughts.
Well, no. You and the mush are you guys are together. You're together. Yes, this is your thing. There is no mush without Dean. So,
and we have to ask because since we talked about it earlier on the show. Kevin Roth, on Weather Edge, you have like flame emojis for when it's hot, right?
Yeah,
right?
But it's just temperature.
Right, that's for temperature. Yeah. We want to add more emojis to Weather Edge, and we want what would the eggplant emoji be for Weather Edge?
Why on earth would there be an eggplant emoji?
That we're saying maybe eggplant emoji for increased amount of home runs because it's a dongs, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I like that. There's a wind emoji. We don't see it too often, but if winds are over 20, there's a wind emoji that occasionally pops up. But I like the eggplant emoji. I'm in. I'll talk to the developers.
Squirrel, congratulations on yesterday. It sounded like you had a thought as far as mushes as well. Did you want to share your thought? It seemed like you wanted to chime in there.
I just think it's a reverse mush. So there can be a mush and a reverse mush, but it's
which is which?
It's ambiguous.
Is it which is reverse and which is which is the organic, which is the original, and which is the reverse? Is the question.
I think mushing it is when you say it's going to be good and it's bad.
I try to reverse mush when like my team goes down early, and I tweet like
Sosa's the mush junior.
Yes,
definitely. He's the
No.
junior mush.
No,
I'm the reverse
Mini mush. He's
king.
the mini mush.
Yeah, because you say like, oh well, it's a good season, or well, we'll get them next time.
Right, I'm the
hoping that they'll
reverse.
turn it around.
I'm the reverse.
You can't triple mush
king.
a double mush.
As soon as it starts going bad, I'm like, oh, I already lost. It's over, and then they end up winning, and it's like, see,
That's an emotional hedge, isn't it?
No,
because he's furious. It's a pure reverse mush.
We're gonna take
yesterday. I tweeted like the A's went up 4-0 in the first inning, and I'm like, oh, I guess that's it. They won this game, and then I'm pretty sure they lost.
Reverse mush,
and I won. Yeah, that's the
mush. No, that's a regular mush.
That's a regular mush.
No,
what's a reverse jinx? Isn't that a reverse jinx?
That's a regular mush.
No, but my plan was I needed them to
right, and you mush them by saying good things.
It's a reverse mush, though.
It's a reverse
mush. Actually,
you
want
say
them
bad
to
things,
win.
and then they turn in.
Kirkwood says that is a classic reverse mush.
Classic reverse mush because I didn't want them to win. I just said they're gonna win, so I had them lose.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't give in the details.
You had nothing to do with
it. I thought you wanted them.
No, I didn't want them to win. I was pissed, so I'm like, oh, of course they're gonna win.
Now I'm with Kirkwood. That's a classic reverse.
That's a reverse mush. Yeah. Okay. All
right. Okay. We got that all squared.
Got to the bottom of this.
We killed enough time. Blender, you got anything else for Roth and the crew here, or shall we step aside and get out of here?
Nope. I'm gonna stack my eggplant emojis and make some lineups.
There you go. That was Blender. I was Dean. It's the FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time. You got SquirrelPatrol. You have TastefulTides, Tim, and you have Chief Interologist Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Chris says these guys just mushed the entire slate. We may have it, but if so, it was Dean's fault. Let's be clear. No matter what,
it's always Dean's fault.
It's always Dean's fault. Hey, welcome to it. This is Crunch Time. This is the free show sponsored by FanDuel. We take you all the way up until lock. We're probably going to do it again later today. I assume we have multiple shows. I don't even look at the schedule. I just show up when they tell me. But it's a show where we're joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, we have TastefulTides, a.k.a. Tim. What up, Tim?
What's going on, Roth? And we got Squirrel today. This is going to be a fun little slate. Definitely going to be some heavy chalk, and then also some pretty good pivots that I'm interested to hear what Squirrel thinks.
Very good. Well, speaking of Squirrel, he did not say this. He was on the evening show with us last night, and he didn't say anything. He mentioned like, yeah, the morning show is pretty good. That's literally all he said. He came first place and won $50,000. And he just didn't say, Squirrel, defend yourself. Why do you do that?
Well, you gotta have a memory like a goldfish, right? Like we were doing a show on the evening slate. I didn't want to like focus on the early slate. Like people didn't tune in to hear about the early slate. Like I'm just here living under my bridge, making 50,000 on the slate. But we're focusing on the here and now. So memory like a goldfish.
That is a good mentality, man. I like it. You keep grinding, stay humble. That is the mentality we're bringing to the people here. And we're going to try to do it again. If you don't win the 50K, we want somebody else out there to win it. So let's kind of talk about this slate. I should note this show is sponsored by FanDuel. Make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to 1,000 clams. That's dollars in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. So make sure you're doing that. That's good money. Let's talk about this slate a wee bit. There are no legitimate weather concerns. There's a chance of a delay in Philly, but like not enough that you should do anything about it. Just play whoever you were going to play and hope it doesn't happen. That's it as far as weather goes. And I think it's good pitching in both Northeast games. What is that? Philly and Washington? Yeah. It's pretty good pitching weather with winds blowing in both games. So with that, let's talk about the slate. Who wants to go first? Who wants to volunteer?
Yeah, I can break down some cash game options, and then Squirrel can do his tournament thoughts if that's cool with everybody.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I think for cash games, there are probably three options that you can go with. Aaron Nola. He's got a very, very, very difficult matchup against Atlanta, but Nola is probably I would say the most talented pitcher on the slate. He is by no means like a lock to get through this lineup. Atlanta is a very, very, very good lineup, one of the best lineups in baseball, but they do strike out at a pretty high rate. So I think that Nola is definitely in the cash game conversation. Then there is Blake Snell, who is a very, very difficult pitcher to analyze, to talk about. He has an amazingly high K rate, and he also has a very high walk rate. And so if his control is on, boy, does he have a ceiling, and boy, can he rack up some strikeouts, and he would be a tremendous play. But he can be extremely inefficient and can really, really, really hurt himself pretty quickly. So he's risky, but I think Nola and Snell would be your spend up options in cash, and then Logan Allen would be your cheap guy on DK at 7,900. He gets the really good matchup against the Athletics. He's had a rough last couple of outings, but he had a tough matchups in those outings. So he would be, if you don't want to double pay up, I think Logan Allen would be your guy if you wanted to save some money to get to some of these bats that we haven't got to yet. But there's a lot of really great bats. Then the wild card, I think, whether it be for tournaments or even cash games, is Joe Ryan. We actually have him as our highest projected raw point scorer on the slate in our lineup HQ projections. I prefer saving a little bit of money with Nola or Snell, but I think Joe Ryan's a great play. I think you could play him in cash, and I certainly think that you could play him in tournaments.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Squirrel, let's talk about the tournament takes. What are your thoughts here? And is there a chalk? And are you on it? Are you getting creative? What's the plan?
It doesn't seem like there's anything that's too chalky. I think it is really centered around these four main guys. I think it's going to be like Aaron Nola, Logan Allen, Blake Snell, and Joe Ryan. I probably prefer Aaron Nola, like a little bit of a notch ahead of the other three guys. Because I think ownership is going to be pretty spread out. And Aaron Nola has a much longer leash. Like you mentioned, like pretty good pitching weather. Atlanta's a really dangerous lineup. But yeah, they strike out. So if Nola can get through that lineup and maybe get an extra inning on these other guys and maybe an extra strikeout. Like I've got Aaron Nola as my highest projected pitcher, and he comes at a salary discount on both sites from the other guys. Or at least, from at least some of the other guys. And I don't think he's going to be like too higher owned. Like I don't think there is chalk. So I prefer Aaron Nola. And then after that, I probably like Logan Allen for the savings. And then Blake Snell and Joe Ryan, like both heavily represented in my pool. After that, it's really mostly just for 150 lineup sets. I'd be using the other guys like Bryce Elder, JP Sears, a little bit of Alex Wood. And don't forget about Tommy Henry either. You mentioned there's good pitching weather in Washington, and that's a lineup that can kind of get shut down a little bit. So like Tommy Henry as a probably lower cost guy.
Okay, let's say for the people out there who aren't, 150 max entering here, they're playing maybe 10, 20 lineups. Would you say with four guys at the top that are kind of spread out, you really don't need to go beyond that because it's not a chalk guy?
I would say that. Like there's that feeling like we definitely want to get different in tournaments. But like there's only 10 pitchers and maybe even less with opener situations. So saying that I like these four guys, I mean there's only 10 pitchers. So you don't need to get that different. Like if you're doing 150 lineups, like absolutely, like play some like JP Sears, play some Alex Wood, some Tommy Henry. If you're playing like 10, like you can just get away with playing the top four guys.
Very good. Okay, that's what I was curious about. Excellent stuff. Let's talk about some of the batters, some of the stacks in particular. We like stacking. It seems like maybe half the pitchers are legitimate options. which would make me think that the other half of the teams are probably good stacking options. So walk me through what most people are doing and what you plan on doing, Squirrel.
So I think if there's chalk, it's probably going to be Minnesota. I think they've got the highest implied run total. I don't particularly like Minnesota. I'd like to get different with the bats more so than the pitchers. On FanDuel, I think my top stack is Philadelphia. They're a little bit too cheap for their home run potential. I actually kind of like pairing them with Aaron Nola, like JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, like Bryce Harper. Always have like some of the highest home run props on the day, and with only 10 teams to choose from, they really stand out for me at not too expensive a cost. Trey Turner is always too cheap on FanDuel. Actually, on DraftKings, I actually prefer Boston as a stack, just because they have the addition of David Hamilton, who's only 2,000. Seems like he's a lock for a stolen base. I think he has like 27 stolen bases in the minors in like 50 games or something. So that addition actually makes me prefer that stack on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, I prefer Philadelphia. I don't mind playing both sides of the Oakland Cleveland game as well, because Historia Ruiz always like steals a base, and then like Cleveland looks good with Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, Ahmed Rosario.
Okay, very good. Tim, let's talk about your thoughts on stacks.
Yeah, so I was kind of under the impression that Arizona was going to be kind of the overwhelming chalk. Now, the thing is, what Squirrel said, I really like Minnesota, but if they're going to be super chalky, because the thing is, it's about weather for me.
That's what I was about to say.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have these amazing projections on Arizona. We have this huge ownership on Arizona. And then we have this really, really bad weather. And that has, I think it had a pretty significant sample size too. So it's a little bit confusing for me in cash games, because I want to play Arizona. They are technically in the best spot. They have decent enough salary, that there are cheaper bats that you can get to these Arizona bats pretty easily. So I'm definitely going to get pieces of them in cash, but in single entry, I was looking to fade Arizona and play more Minnesota because of that. What is it? 90 degree weather in Minnesota, right?
So it's not just one of these spots is not good for hitting, being the Washington game, right, or the Arizona team. The flip side of that is in Minnesota, it's going to be 90. It's good, legitimately the best hitting weather of the slate versus poor hitting weather. So obviously the weather's not everything. You still got to hit the freaking ball, but that matters to me.
Yeah, and Minnesota has a good matchup. I mean, they're going up against a couple of openers for Boston. So it's not like they're going up against any kind of big time pitchers or anything like that. So for me, this is kind of it's kind of difficult because Arizona is in the best spot. But I mean, when I'm looking at our projected ownership, it's really Arizona. That's going to be the highest own, and I think I'm going to fade them in single entry, and go with Minnesota, and it's really based on weather. It's weather and ownership. I think Minnesota is going to be lower owned than Arizona, in my opinion.
How about a couple other teams here for those who have a few more entries? You like Arizona, you like Minnesota. Anything else that maybe comes in third place?
I like Boston quite a bit. I mean, Joe Ryan is a really good pitcher, but I don't think Boston is going to get a lot of ownership. We can attack that good weather game. I think if I'm looking to get really contrarian, I think Boston has the upside to win a tournament. I think San Diego is pretty interesting going up against Alex Wood. That game starts 2.5 hours after every other game. I'm not going to say that that's going to make a huge difference in how people play, but I think that may end up being kind of a forgotten game. And Alex Wood is not a gas can by any means, but San Diego is a very, very strong lineup. We don't have a lot of huge team totals on this slate. So San Diego coming in with a 4.25 total is pretty decent So I think San Diego would be a fairly contrarian stack.
Okay. Very nice. Guys, let's go around the horn. Squirrel, you have anything to add in that department?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a little bit lower ownership on San Diego than we should because the lineup's not out yet. And all the other lineups for the other games are in San Diego and San Francisco. We don't have those lineups. Like, it's not enough to make me want to play San Francisco. Because like even once we get the San Francisco lineup, we might not have it once they start like pinch hitting for everybody. But like San Diego, I mean, like Fernando Tatis, Machado, Juan Soto, like they're not going to sit all those guys. So, and I think with all the other lineups being in, like afternoon slate, I think we'll see lower ownership on San Diego.
Yeah. Tim Pickering in the chat says San Diego are nothing but underachievers. And like, that's kind of the target, right? That's almost what we want is like teams who have talent and are underachieving because eventually they'll break through. The talent
when market sentiment drops on talented teams, that's a time that you want to buy, in my opinion, in large field tournaments.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Okay. Hey, let's go around the horn. We'll talk some position by position. We still have about 20 minutes, which is plenty of time. Tim, you get to lead us off with a little catcher talk. We got anybody good behind the dish? Is behind the dish? Is that catcher behind the dish, or is that? I don't do baseball.
I mean, it works for me. I don't really know. I think that's. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'll allow it.
Thank you. Thank
you. So it's catcher's pretty ugly today. It's definitely part of your stack kind of deal. I'd say Ryan Jeffers at 2,500. This Minnesota team is really quite cheap, and you can double pay up at pitching and stack Minnesota, and it's very, very easy to do. I think you could play Jeffers in cash games. I think Gary Sanchez would be very, very interesting at 3,900. A couple of these Nationals catchers, as gross as that sounds, I think are pretty interesting. Riley Adams, Kelbert Ruiz, and then I think Carson Kelly would be interesting also for the Diamondbacks. But he carries fairly significant pitch hit risk, but still, those would be my guys. This is a mostly just in stacks position for me.
Yeah.
And then Jeffers, I think, for cash games.
Squirrel, same thoughts where whatever your stack is, you're just kind of playing the catcher.
Yeah, I mean, we do the show and we'll have like 12 games and we'll say, well, catcher's pretty ugly. Like, now we only have 5 games. There's only like about 10 catchers. The only guy that I would really go out of my way to play outside of the stack is JT Realmuto. Maybe Gary Sanchez. Then again, we don't have the lineup yet. After that, it gets ugly fast.
Yeah. Okay. How about first base, Squirrel?
So first base on FanDuel, I really like Bryce Harper. We don't really think of him as a first baseman, but he's first base eligible. So he's my top guy at first base position. For cost savings, I like Tristan Casas with Boston. Justin Turner is also more expensive, but he's first base eligible on FanDuel. Then Christian Walker, and then Matt Olson. If I'm not playing Aaron Nola in that lineup, Matt Olson can always hit the ball a long way.
Yeah, okay, excellent. What are your thoughts, Tim, at first?
Yeah, agree with Squirrel. Alex Kirilloff, 2,600 on FanDuel, 3,200 on DK, I think is a great play. Jake Cronenworth will be a contrarian option on FanDuel, 2,700. Josh Naylor, I think. He had a huge game yesterday. Not that means anything today, but I think that he is a viable play on both sites. Christian Walker for the Diamondbacks, always in play.
Very good. How about second base?
Yeah, so Ketel Marte would be the guy if you have the salary that I would recommend the most. On FanDuel, you can play Julian at 2,800, Jimenez at 2,900. Nola's a great play. I have no issue with Aaron Nola. He might be the top pitcher on the slate, but like getting to some of these Atlanta bats, like Ozzy Albies, I think would be a good way to get different in tournaments. you could even play just like a one-off of an Atlanta bat in a NOLA lineup, you know, like just to get different. I wouldn't get too carried away with that idea, but I don't mind it for tournaments.
Okay, Squirrel, your thoughts at second base?
Yeah, I think Italo Marte is a little bit separated ahead of everybody else. It's not a great position. I agree. Ozzy Albies is definitely in play. Yeah, if there's a situation where I play a hitter against my pitcher, it's maybe to fill a tough to fit position with a guy that has power, could like hit a home run off the bullpen potentially. Andres Jimenez with Cleveland, Bryson Stott with the Phillies stack. And then if I'm trying to get different, like maybe Tyro Estrada, he's one of the few guys on San Francisco I'd have interest in, where the lineup's not out yet, but he should be in the lineup. And I think he'll come in at low ownership.
Very good. Real quick, Kevin, sorry, I missed this. On DraftKings, Perdomo, Geraldo Perdomo for Arizona is 4K, and I think he's batting leadoff. So he might be in the cash game conversations, absolutely in the tournament conversation as well. That's a good lineup spot. So I just wanted to mention him.
Okay, very good. Hey guys, make sure you're hitting us with a little like, a little subscribe action. I think if we get to 100 likes, our guy TJ might be watching and might drop a Spidey bomb. I can't promise that for you, but I feel like he's in there, and he tends to do that. So I think we got 60 something likes. Get us up to 100. It is free content by two really sharp folks. So just hit us with a little thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. I believe that takes us to third base, and Tim, you can lead us off at that spot.
So FanDuel, Manny Machado is really cheap still. He's $2,900. That's going to be a tough price to get away from. Jose Ramirez on both sites, getting to be more appropriately priced. $5,400 on DK, $4,100 on FanDuel, but still, I think an exceptional play. Royce Lewis from Minnesota, he's $2,800 on FanDuel. $3,400 on DraftKings. I think you could play him in any format. Those would be like my three favorite guys. And then you could always go Rafael Devers as like a one-off. Like he's got huge power, and I don't think he's going to come with a lot of ownership today.
Okay, very good. Squirrel, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, I think Jose Ramirez is the highest projected guy, and he's going to be the highest owned guy. I probably prefer to go into the Boston guys like Devers and even Justin Turner. I really like the Boston stack because I've projected pretty well, but they have a low implied run total. But they have power throughout that lineup, like power and speed. So I like Devers. I like Justin Turner. On FanDuel, Mlb Dfs is third base eligible, is only 2,100, hitting second for Oakland. And then I guess Austin Riley as well, should be mentioned as part of an Atlanta stack if you're not playing NOLA.
Okay, very good. How about shortstop, Squirrel?
So shortstop, Ahmed Rosario there as well with Jose Ramirez if you're playing a Cleveland stack. Trey Turner is just always too cheap. Like he's 6,000 on DraftKings, and what is he like 3,200 on FanDuel? Yeah, 3,200 on FanDuel. Fernando Tatis, excellent option on FanDuel. And then, Geraldo Perdomo, leading off Arizona, I think is a good option. He's not too expensive. He's shortstop only on FanDuel. He's second base shortstop on DraftKings.
Okay, Tim, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, Tatis on FanDuel, if you can get up to him, I think he's an absolute smash play. Carlos Correa on both sites, 2,900 on FanDuel. I believe he's 4,300 on DraftKings. Absolutely love him. Love the Rosario call on both sites. I think he's kind of too cheap across the board. Perdomo, again, you can play at shortstop, although I think I prefer that if you play him at second. But and then Xander Bogaerts, I think, is going to be pretty low owned. I think the San Diego team is going to go, other than like Tatis, I think is going to go pretty low owned.
Okay, very good. Gentlemen, that takes us into the outfield. And like some of these names we've already talked about, like Tatis, but go ahead and walk through what we're playing.
Yeah, so Corbin Carroll I think on both sites is going to be pretty popular. But that, this is the situation that we talked about at the top of the show. It's, really bad hitting weather, and it's, Corbin Carroll's an amazing hitter. He's getting priced up, correctly on both sites, but we projected for very, very high ownership on both sites. And like we said, it's not very good hitting weather. So, you got to take that however you want to take that. I think I'm going to stay away in single entry, but it's scary. So I'm just, I'm not really sure because he's an amazing spot. I think Byron Buxton, 3K on FanDuel. Buxton has not been good at all this season, but he is, he's an exceptional hitter, and maybe people will want to stay away from him because he's been so bad this year. But 3K on FanDuel is way too cheap, and I think 5,000 on DraftKings is a great price tag. Jarren Duran at 2,600 on FanDuel, I think, is a great play. Batting leadoff, I believe. So I think he's in the cash game conversation, definitely. Squirrels mentioned Philly a couple times. I always like playing Kyle Schwarber, especially if he's not going to be popular, because he has got such big power upside. So if he's going to be low owned, then I absolutely love that play.
Great. Squirrel, what are your thoughts on the outfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all the top guys. I mean, I really like Fernando Tatis as a one-off, just because he's not in the lineup. Like, the lineup's not out yet, and if you're playing him as a one-off, that really gives you a lot of options. Should he not be in the lineup? So I've got him very highly projected. Yeah, I think Corbin Carroll is going to be high owned, but he's kind of a little bit of a scary fade just because he can steal bases, he can hit home runs. I probably like the Philly guys for the ownership the best, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. And then I wouldn't overlook the speed guys like Esteury Ruiz and Jarren Duran. I think they both steal bases. They're going to come in a little bit lower owned, and they're a little bit lower cost because they're not like huge power guys. But yeah, I think either one of them can steal a base. And then, David Hamilton on DraftKings. He's not on the FanDuel slate, but he's only 2,000 on DraftKings. He can definitely get on and steal a base.
Okay. Very good. Guys, we have about 8-9 minutes here. Let's get some home run picks. Then we'll get some QQs, some questions from the crew hanging out. Make sure you hit us with that thumbs up. We want some Spidey bombs. I want some Spidey bombs. You want some Spidey bombs. Hit the thumbs up, and we will get there. Let's do a little home run pick. And Squirrel, I will start with you. If you're picking somebody, like somebody primo and somebody a little bit lower owned, who would you pick?
I'll go with two Boston guys. Rafael Devers probably is the higher owned guy, and then Tristan Casas also with Boston as a home run pick.
Very nice. Tim?
I will go with two Minnesota guys. I'm going to go with Max Kepler, and I'm going to go with Carlos Correa.
Love it. Okay. Excellent work, guys. I'm going to dive into some of these QQs. Pulling up the RG Discord right now. Amateur Hour says, and I'll give this to Squirrel here. It seems like the chalky build is going to be Snell Allen. Allen feels like he's in a prime spot to bust, given what Oakland has been doing. Can you talk about who your favorite pivots off of Allen are, regardless of price, and who on Oakland would be your leverage backs in DK single entry GPPs? First off, do you agree that the chalky build is Snell Allen?
Not necessarily, because I think Aaron Nola is going to see some ownership as well, and so that would be my pivot, is to go to Aaron Nola. Like, if you think that it's going to be Snell and Allen, like, I would definitely just go to Aaron Nola, like drop down from Blake Snell to Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
Or if you want somebody cheaper than Logan Allen, maybe go with like Tommy Henry.
Great.
For that to be a tournament play.
Okay. And Tim, I did get a question earlier that said somebody had just jumped in and they were hoping you could rehash the cash pitchers. So for both DK and FanDuel, I know there's like kind of a tier, but give your favorite cash plays.
Yeah, so Snell, Nola, or Allen. I am probably going to go Snell, Allen, but Snell is terrifying. But Nola has a really bad matchup too. So you can go Nola, Allen if you want. I think it's a combination of those three guys: Snell, Nola, and Allen.
Okay, great. Saints fan says, hey guys, on FanDuel, do you like 4-4 or 4-3 stacks? And Squirrel, I'll give this to you. Answer this in the context of this slate, but also as like a bigger picture, 4-4 versus 4-3.
Well, 4-4 versus 4-3. I would take a look. I think you can play either one. Like I think I play almost entirely 4-4 and 4-3 stacks on FanDuel. I would, if you're trying to decide like a particular lineup, like just see what the projection is as 4-3, and then like see, is there somebody for the one-off? Is there someone on one of the two teams that you can just stick in there that's not too lower projected? Right. One advantage with the 4-3, I don't like playing entirely 4-4s because, like, let's say I wanted to play, Philly lineup and Aaron Nola, I can't do that on FanDuel because you have to have at least So you have to have I think at least like 3 different teams represented. So that's a reason to play 4-3s.
Okay, very interesting. That's not something that I had realized nor considered. I like it. Let's see what else we got. NBA DFS says FanDuel Cash Tim, J Ram and J Bell or Walker Correa. He says I could go Rosario instead of Correa if you prefer that route.
I think Walker Correa.
Very nice. Ball says DK Cash Tim, right back to you. Ruiz or Duran?
Duran.
Okay, this is a FanDuel GPP question. Squirrel, Buxton or Eddie Rosario?
I would go I'd go with Buxton.
Okay. A good FanDuel GPP pitcher, Squirrel. Who's your favorite? Let's say you're playing single entry. You can just play whoever you want, right? The ownership isn't so high that you need to get crazy, but who's your favorite?
Yeah, I like Aaron Nola. I know he's going to be highly owned, but I think it's going to be the ownership is going to be spread out amongst the 4 guys. I don't like getting crazy at pitcher on FanDuel because you only get one. So I still like Aaron Nola, even though it's going to be chalky. I don't think you need to get different at pitcher.
Okay, very good. We'll go to Ashvin Suresh. He says DK Cash Tim. This is a 3v3. Ramirez and both Rosarios. Or Tatis, Perdomo, and Villar.
The first one.
Very good. Okay. Fade Acuna in cash? ? Feel like this would be my first time ever doing that.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Okay.
This would be a good an okay slate to do that.
All right. Very good. New Generation 82 says, Squirrel, if you're pitching Allen with it being a smaller slate, would you be opposed to playing 1-1 like Ruiz against him? So basically a one guy against him in the same lineup.
Yeah, actually, I think Ruiz is the perfect guy to play against his pitcher because he's going to get points from stolen bases, which don't necessarily hurt the pitcher as directly as like a home run or a RBI.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Oh, that's so good. Sometimes you say shit that I'm like, that is so much smarter than anything that's up here in this DFS brain. That's brilliant. I love it. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. That if you're going to play a one-off like against your pitcher, it should be a stolen base guy because the stolen base isn't going to hurt the pitcher as directly as like a home run or like an RBI double.
Maybe everyone knows that and everyone had thought that, but that thought had never crossed my mind before. Like it's obvious, it makes sense, but like that had never occurred to me and I freaking love it. Tim Pickering says, who do you like on the Red Hot Giants? Are they red hot? Tim, do we like anyone on the Giants? We don't even know who's starting, nor if the people starting are going to get multiple at-bats, right?
That is correct. I'm not really on the Giants at all. They're fine. I guess Estrada would be like the guy. But other than that, maybe JD Davis. But that's it. That's it for me.
Okay. We got about 2 minutes until lock. Andrew says, pick 2 of these 3 outfielders, please, Sir Squirrel. Castellanos, Kwan, or Ruiz. That would be E. Ruiz.
I like Ruiz the best. Then I'd probably go Castellanos over Kwan. Kwan doesn't have much power. So.
Gotcha. All right. We have a little less than 2 minutes until lock. We've caught up on all the questions. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up. Make sure you hit us with a subscribe. We do this free content every day. it feels like multiple times a day, most days. So make sure you're giving us a little bit of love for that. Hopefully, we're trying to keep it free for as long as possible, but we need eyeballs and we need thumbs ups in order to make that happen. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Let's see if anybody else has got any more questions coming in. They do not. You boys got lunch plans?
No.
Wow. All the entire time sitting here, I'm like, lunch.
I should eat before Blake Snell starts though, because he always makes me a little sick to my stomach.
Yeah, you got to get the base in before you watch it and then start eating. That's
right.
That's wise. Yeah. A wise decision. All right. Hey, well, we have answered all of the questions. We have given out all the tips, all the advice. I have delicious lunch plans. I got a little pulled pork sandwich I'm going to go devour. Got it slow cooking right now. It's going to be ready as I finish the show. So we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Tim, for Squirrel, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you later on today. You have been crunched.